Saul was, according to the Hebrew Bible, the first monarch of the United Kingdom of Israel. King Saul, his reign traditionally placed in the late 11th century BCE, supposedly marked the transition of Israel and Judah from a scattered tribal society to organized statehood. The historicity of Saul in the United Kingdom of Israel is not universally accepted, as what is known of both comes from the ancient Hebrew. According to the text, he was anointed as king of the Israelites by Samuel and reigned from Gibeah. Saul is said to have died by suicide when he fell on his sword during a battle with the Philistines on Mount Gilboa, in which 3 of his sons were also killed. Dang, Jonathan too, right? David and Jonathan, they were like bestest of friends. Apparently, David and Jonathan, David said the relationship with Jonathan was more important than that with women. So I don't know if he's saying that was his lover or if he was just saying the value of friendship. The value of friendship was that important to David and Jonathan. I'm okay with either one, but I kind of like the friendship thing a lot. So you have King Saul, and Jonathan and 2 other sons are killed in the battle with the Philistines on Mount Gilboa. And apparently he's going to kill himself, fall on his own sword, but then somebody else is supposed to come along, and they were going to kill him, but then, well, the succession to his throne was contested by Ishbosheth. And that's Baal, right? Ishbosheth is also Ishbaal. So Ishbosheth, a.k.a. Ishbaal, is his only surviving son. So Ishbosheth, who's King Saul's son, is going to compete with David, his son-in-law. So it's not even blood, David ultimately prevails. And then King David somehow gets the kingship over Israel and Judah. What? What the hell happened? That isn't how it goes to the son-in-law. But David was charismatic and popular and cool. And fucking Ishbosheth, well, he was kind of a dick, kind of an asshole, kind of a racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, low-life, degenerate, perverted, disgusting piece of shit. Just a fucking trash. Think about the worst white trashiest, like the worst meth headiest, white trashiest pieces of shit out of Kansas that you could possibly fathom. That's who Ishbosheth was. And then David, his son-in-law, is like Mr. fucking the Fonz, David ultimately prevailed, assumed kingship over Israel and Judah. Ishbosheth. The name is called Man of Shame, also called Ishbaal. Fire of Baal was, according to the Hebrew Bible, the second monarch of the kingdom of Israel who succeeded his father, King Saul. And he reigned for 2 years. So Ishbaal was king for 2 years. Almost as long as Caligula. He was emperor for 4 years. The second monarch of the kingdom of Israel who succeeded his father Saul. He reigned for 2 years, during which he was at war with David. He was killed by 2 of his own army captains. Oh, damn. I hate it when that happens. Mutiny on the Bounty. Whoop, looks like there's a little bit of fragging on this mutiny. This little armistice. A little bit of a mutiny here. 2 of Ishbosheth's own army captains, Rechab and Baanah, assassinated the deposed king. 2 Samuel 4:5, expecting a reward from David for this. David, however, refused to give any commendation for high treason. He had both killers executed and their hands and feet cut off. David's supporters buried the head of Ishbosheth in Abner's grave at Hebron. 2 Samuel 4:12. Wow, so Rechab and Baanah, really David should have if it wasn't for Rechab and Baanah. But that's interesting. It kind of makes me think of 2 assassinations of American presidents. You had the stalwart of stalwarts, and then after he had shot the guy, he had said, okay, call William Tecumseh Sherman to get military martial law enacted, and then the presidency goes to Chester A. Arthur. So it seems like, Tecumseh Sherman and Chester A. Arthur was behind this shit, even though they had nothing to do with this stalwart of stalwarts. That was with James Garfield, who was actually a badass. He was a Lincoln man. He fought in the Civil War. So he killed them and then cut off their hands and feet. Why did he cut off the hands and feet? Afterwards or beforehand? Doesn't make much sense. And then they buried it at Abner's grave. Okay, so Solomon. Solomon was also called Jedediah, not Jebediah, but Jedediah. Jedediah. Beloved of Yah. He was a monarch of ancient Israel and the son and successor of David according to the Hebrew Bible in the Old Testament. He is described as having been the penultimate ruler of an amalgamated Israel and Judah. The hypothesized dates of Solomon's reign are 970-931 BCE. After his death, his son and successor of Rehoboam would adopt harsh policy towards the northern tribes, eventually leading to the splitting of the Israelites between the kingdom of Israel in the north and the kingdom of Judah in the south. Following the split, his patrilineal descendants ruled over Judah alone. The Bible says Solomon built the first temple in Jerusalem, dedicating the temple to Yahweh, or God in Judaism. Solomon is portrayed as wealthy, wise, and powerful, and is one of the 48 Jewish prophets. He's also the subject of many later references and legends, most notably in the Testament of Solomon, 1st century Biblica Apocrypha. In the New Testament, he's portrayed as a teacher of wisdom, excelled by Jesus of Nazareth, and as arrayed in glory, but excelled by the lilies in the field. In the Quran, he's considered to be a major Islamic prophet. He's considered referred to as Solomon ibn Dawood. Ibn Dawood, Solomon, and literally Solomon, son of David, in most non-biblical circles. Solomon also came to be known as a magician, an exorcist. Well, that's Christ, with numerous amulets and medallion seals dating from the Hellenistic period invoking his name. Ishbosheth. In the book of Chronicles, he's exclusively called Ishbal. Current consensus states that whether or not a man named Solomon truly reigned as king over the Judean hills in the 10th century BCE, the biblical descriptions of his apparent empire's lavishness is almost surely an anachronistic exaggeration. Finkelstein, Silberman accept that David and Solomon were real inhabitants of Judah about the 10th century BC. They claim that the earliest independent reference to the kingdom of Israel is about 890 BC, and for Judah about 750 BC. They suggest that because of religious prejudice, the authors of the Bible suppressed the achievements of the Amorites, who the Hebrew Bible described as being polytheist, and instead pushed them back to the supposed golden age of Judaism and monotheist and devotees of Yahweh. Some biblical minimalists like Thomas L. Thompson go further, arguing that Jerusalem became a city and capable of becoming a state capital only in the mid-7th century. Likewise, Finkelstein and others consider the claimed size of Solomon's temple implausible. Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Little archaeological excavation has been done around the area known as the Temple Mount, and what is thought to be the foundation of Solomon's temple, because attempts to do so are met with protests by the Muslim authorities. Solomon was born in Jerusalem, the second born child of David and his wife Bathsheba, widow of Uriah the Hittite. Hittite are the daughters of Heth. The first child, unnamed in that account, a son conceived adulterously during Uriah's lifetime, had died during birth. It's suggested in Scripture that this was a judgment from God. Solomon had 3 named full brothers born to Bathsheba: Nathan, Shammua, and Shobab. Nathan, Shammua, and Shobab. Besides 6 other older half-brothers born of as many mothers. The biblical narrative shows that Solomon served as a peace offering between God and David due to his adulterous relationship with Bathsheba. And in an effort to hide this sin, for example, he sent the woman's husband to battle. The subsequently realized hope that he would be killed there. After he died, David was finally able to marry his wife. As punishment, the first child who was conceived during the adulterous relationship died. Solomon was born after David was forgiven. It is this reason why his name, which means peace, was chosen. Some historians cited that Nathan the prophet brought up Solomon as his father was busy governing the realm. This could also be attributed to the notion that the prophet held great influence over David because he knew of his adultery, which was considered a grievous offense under Mosaic law. According to the biblical account, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. 1,000. The wives were described as foreign princesses, including Pharaoh's daughter and women of Moab, and Ammon. Them goddamn motherfucking Lot's tribes. Edom, Sidon, and the Hittites, the daughters of Heth. What are you doing, Solomon? His marriage to Pharaoh's daughter appears to have been cemented a political alliance with Egypt. Holy fuck. Whereas he clung to his other wives and concubines in love. A political alliance with Egypt. If he married Pharaoh's daughter, how is this not goddamn motherfucking history? The only wife mentioned by name is Naamah, the Ammonite, mother of Solomon's successor Rehoboam. The biblical narrative notes with disapproval that Solomon permitted his foreign wives to import their national deities, building temples to Ashtoreth and Milcom. In the branch of literary analysis that examines the Bible called Higher Criticism, the story of Solomon falling into idolatry by the influence of Pharaoh's daughter and his other foreign wives is customarily seen as the handiwork of the Deuteronomistic historians, who are held to have written, compiled, or edited text to legitimize the reforms of Hezekiah's great-grandson, King Josiah, who reigned from 641 to 609 BC, over 280 years after Solomon's death, according to the Bible scholars. Scholarly consensus. The wives' theological construct to blame the schism between Judah and the northern kingdom of Israel on his misdeeds. In a brief, unelaborated, and enigmatic passage, the Hebrew Bible describes how the fame of Solomon's wisdom and wealth reached even the far-off Queen of Sheba. The queen is described as visiting with gifts, including gold, spices, and precious stones. When Solomon gave her all her desire, whatsoever she asked, she left satisfied. 1 Kings 10:10. King Solomon is a central biblical figure who, according to the Hebrew Bible, was the builder of the first temple in Jerusalem and the last ruler of a united kingdom of Israel under a reign of 40 years. He died in natural causes at around 60 years of age. Upon Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam, northern kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam, while Rehoboam continued to reign over the mark, succeeded him, but 10 of the tribes of Israel refused him as king. Rehoboam splitting the monarchy into the northern kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam, while Rehoboam continued to reign over the much smaller kingdom of Judah. Henceforth, the two kingdoms were never again united. Oh, damn. Oh, fuck. Fucking shit, man. Solomon is associated with the peak golden age of the independent kingdom of Israel and is a legendary source of judicial and religious wisdom.